Happy Twitter Tuesday here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Lawrence Benedetto is here as well, doing the faders, pushing the buttons, reading the questions, all that great stuff. As we always do, we've got a bunch of questions left over from Mailbag Monday, all from Twitter. We'll get to those on today's show.
Nothing divisive at all.
Never.
No.
Never divisive. But please, do us a favor and smash that like button for us. We would appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed to the page as well, the YouTube page. They're both right there by that play button. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you. Follow, like, review, subscribe, whatever your favorite app calls for. And take 30 seconds. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That would be very, very helpful. Lawrence, to the SAC-O Twitter.
Are we doing this right away? Okay, let's do this right away.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Can we?
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Just want to make sure. Hope everyone's okay from last night. Quite the weather event in the Chicagoland area. We tried to warn y'all, our weather experts.
The rate shows.
Opinions last.
I should have power within the week.
Whee! Yeah, how's that going?
Brags
for you?
too.
I have no power.
Still no power?
I'm fairly certain.
What do we live in Texas?
A tornado touched down like 3 blocks from my house.
Yeah.
I would say there's a 70% chance it was a tornado. If not, it was probably those straight line winds. But we have a little park near us, like full of trees, and probably 60% of those trees are toast.
Jeez.
And they were doing some road work. You know those little like plastic orange fencing they put up?
Yeah.
Those were in the trees, the treetops.
Those are now in Bedford Park.
Right. So we lost power at 10:30 or like 9:30. Everything went by. Got out of my car just to go assess things and turn on the block. And there was a tree that had taken down all the power lines on our block. And as of leaving for work, they're still down. Wow. So we could be without power for a couple days.
I was shocked at the sheer number of trees on the shoulders of 290, about 2 miles west of here and all the way in.
Yeah,
even in this neighborhood, there's trees.
Yes, in this neighborhood,
right down by the park by the school.
Yeah,
there was like 3 or 4 trees down.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Which to me says, "Whoa!" Like it.
Yeah, it was intense.
We didn't get it that bad up north. Like it poured really hard for like 10 minutes, and then it kind of calmed. Lots of lightning, but I went out for a walk today in the neighborhood, and there was no trees down or anything like that. So we avoided
up north wasn't too bad, but down here in this area, in the city area,
the city area, right here in the West Loop, got it a lot worse.
Well, someone who lives in Shirtless Dart Guy's complex has like a deck patio
pergola situation.
Yeah, and
there's a tree in there
with the wooden the wooden slatted walls.
Yeah,
and that's all down the alley, all on Racine, like different parts of it. So yeah, it was rough, man. It was very scary.
And to see like the radar, I saw some of the radar like videos, the time lapses or whatever, just to see the storm just kind of like pop up and be like orange and red right away. Like
they said the winds were equal to a category 1 hurricane or typhoon. So we technically had a hurricane in Illinois.
We found a great,
totally normal,
a great asset last night. And my wife is a huge weather nerd. She loves it. She geeks out on it. She should have been a meteorologist. But we found this guy on YouTube called Max Velocity. I don't think that's his first name, but he was like, he's just a real time like weather nerd with all the equipment. He can go like 5 layers deep. He's like, there's a tornado right there. I can tell by the hook. And sure enough, like 2 minutes later, the news channels would show, okay, now we have a tornado warning for this area. He was calling things before they were being called by the National Weather Service. It was incredible.
I was expecting you to say this is like a real name.
No, I don't think that's
any relation to Max Power.
But Max Velocity on YouTube was fantastic last night until we lost power. Then we lost Max Velocity.
Oh no!
Then we had to go to good old WGN.
Yeah.
I hope Tom Skilling was somewhere enjoying
somewhere pantsless, enjoying that.
Yeah.
I thought they saw that they had him on a little.
They did.
He did a guest spot. I don't know. Maybe
I appreciated Micah Matera letting me know.
Maybe he was just on the Twitters.
He's like the Bob McKenzie of weather.
Yeah.
He's retired, but
some Tom Maritas.
Because I saw a meme where it was like the famous like Undertaker's dead in the casket, and he just sits up, and they're like tornado season in Illinois, and the Undertaker sits up, but it was Tom Skilling's head.
Did you see the woman who was like tweeting from a plane on the runway? And like they like allowed the plane to go out into the runway. And the pilot was like, well, they've evacuated the control tower. We're just going to be stuck here on the runway as this tornado
Screw it. I'm going to gun it. Let's see what happens.
I'm going to outrun this tornado.
I'm retiring tomorrow anyway.
Yeah,
let's give it a whirl.
I didn't really enjoy WGN just like not knowing what to say. And Micah Matera goes, yeah, some flights are delayed at O'Hare Midway. Like, I was wondering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have confirmed tornadoes at both of them, I would think there'd be some delays. Yeah. Oof. All right. Yeah, hopefully everyone's good.
It looks like we're going to
be restored to all of you eventually.
It looks like we're going to get back to some somewhat normal weather here for the next few days.
Yeah, my lawn's had enough rain for a week or so.
Sorry, the entire hour in the middle of July was not about hockey.
Yeah, that's okay.
But
just
we'll be all right.
making sure everyone's
all right. Some people get mad when we don't talk about hockey for 60 straight minutes in July.
All right, well, here's 54 minutes of us yelling about Seth Jones. Ready?
Yeah, let's all be very nice in the chat. I already did ask a question. I said, like, putting the contract aside, do you like Seth Jones as a defenseman on the Blackhawks? So we'll see how that goes, but here we go. We'll get into it with, we said this one first, right? About the 53rd?
Yes.
Okay, so the first one is from Alberto Vitale off Twitter. Why is Seth Jones voted the 53rd best defenseman by fans according to Jay Fresh? Is it the overpaid effect, Blackhawks effect, or do you think that's around the right area he should be at?
So real quick, before we dig into that, the way Jay Fresh runs these polls...
Not scientific.
They're not scientific. He puts out a Google Doc.
It's a survey.
A survey, but it will just assign 2 random defensemen. So it's like Roman Josi or Alex Vlasic, and you just click who you think is better. And enough people participate in this, and these random matchups pop up that at the end of it, it spits out this data that says these guys are in this place. So to answer Alberto's question, yes, I think there's contract reputation in there, and yes, I think there's a Blackhawks factor in there. When people who are not fans of the Blackhawks are voting for who they like, of course, are you going, as a Blackhawks fan, are you going to give Colton Parayko, a member of the Blues, or a member of the Red Wings, a positive vote when you're on the fence? Probably not. So that's a factor in all of this too.
Yeah, I think that's a factor. His contract's a factor, and because of that, because of the contract, because of how he got to the Blackhawks, and at the time he got there and got that contract, everyone just made their minds up that Seth Jones is overpaid and he sucked in his last year of Columbus. So the Blackhawks are overpaying a sucky defenseman. And it's 2021, and that's my opinion.
Right.
And I think I don't blame the general public for not paying attention to the Blackhawks over the last 2-3 years, because if you weren't paid to do it, or you weren't already a diehard Blackhawks fan, you probably weren't really paying attention to what they were doing until Connor Bedard showed up, because why would you?
Right.
But if you've been watching this team with and without Seth Jones since he's been here, and more specifically since Luke Richardson has been here, I think it's fair to say he's not the 53rd best defenseman in the league. He's probably in the upper 40s. I think that would be a fair assessment. I don't think him being that, I'm not going to say he's egregiously low, but I think I think being 53rd in the league is too low.
Yeah, I agree with that. But as our buddy Chris Dubiel says, 53rd is still a top pairing defenseman if you're saying there are 64 top pairing defensemen in the league. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Some teams have 3 top pair defensemen, and some teams have 0.
Right.
But yes, that's based off of averages.
Yeah, I think it's a little low, but of course, when you're having the fans just give you their opinion on who they think is better with no real, just you see 2 names. Oh, the Blackhawks have been bad for the last 4 years, and he's up against the guy from the Dallas Stars who, have been in the Western Conference. So obviously the Stars guy is better. It's a better team. You're going to get a lot of uneducated, uninformed votes.
Yes.
And yes, part of that, to the question, part of that is the Blackhawk effect. The Blackhawks have been bad. So people who don't watch the Blackhawks every day will just assume, well, he's their top defenseman and they've been really bad, so he must be a bad defenseman.
Right.
There's a lot of factors that go into it. And as Anthony said a couple minutes ago, we saw when Seth Jones was out for those few weeks last year how important he really is.
Yeah.
The dude is he eats minutes. He plays against the top line every night, every shift. He's out there.
Power play, penalty kill.
Is he a perfect elite defenseman? No, he is not. Is he a damn good defenseman? Yes, he is.
He's kind of good at everything. Right. Maybe not great at any one thing, but he's kind of good at everything.
Right. And, we're going to get into the contract stuff here, but as the Blackhawks improve and they start winning more games, and Seth Jones will start putting up more points because there'll be more talent around him to pick up more assists or have more space on the ice to shoot more, maybe get a few more goals. All of a sudden, I think the opinion around the league will change about Seth Jones as the team gets better.
And I think defensively, as with the additions of Martinez and Brody, maybe the totality of his workload and his responsibilities defensively, outside of just being paired with Alex Vlasic, but like being able to be like, hey, maybe you don't need to play as many penalty kill minutes. Maybe you don't need to play as many power play minutes. Maybe your 5-on-5 time can be more effective, and the time across the board defensively can be a little bit more spread out because you don't have a Zaitsev or a Tenorti or a Megna to worry about their minutes. That can maybe say, okay, a little bit less on your plate can make what you are doing on the ice more effective because you're not running out there for 29, 30 minutes a night for Seth Jones. If you make 25, 26 minutes more effective than you have to be out there for 29, that does make a difference over the course of a season.
You're right. Playing 29 minutes a night because you have to.
Yeah.
Where then you can go, as the defense improves as a whole, some of these young guys start contributing more and being trusted more, then maybe you only have to play him 24 to 25 minutes a night because you don't have to. You have to play him so many minutes because you have to.
Yep. There's also something that I was thinking about as we were having this conversation, and the majestic American Woodcock points it out in the chat. He pecked away on his keyboard there and pointed it out. And he says, Seth, quote, where the F are you going, Jones? Now, this is a moment that, amplifying your point, Mario, of Seth Jones was bad in Columbus. The Blackhawks made a bad trade to get Seth Jones, and Seth Jones makes too much money, so he sucks. Was also Patrick Kane caught on a hot mic asking Seth Jones where the F he was going. And, of course, when given the option between choosing 3-time Stanley Cup champ, at worst second-best player in franchise history, or a new guy who you already hate, you're going to take the side of the franchise legend that has won you Stanley Cups. That didn't help Seth Jones' reputation either. I will remind everyone, if I'm not mistaken, that was a Jeremy Colliton era when everyone was wondering where the F everybody was going because the system was broken.
That was taken, I believe that play was opening night in Denver against the Avs 2 years ago.
So that was 2 years ago.
I believe so. I believe that was that
I thought
play.
It was sooner into his tenure.
It was,
I believe,
October 14th, 2022, which sounds like the season opener.
That was
of
the
that
game.
Season.
That was the game against the Avs in Denver.
See, Nate also thought it was Colliton era.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, first game of the year, new coach.
There's that leadership.
What? Yeah, well, so.
Yep. That was opening night against Colorado.
Leadership.
Right. So whatever. That didn't help, but I just tell people to like that automatically just, and now we look back on it, and maybe that trade for Seth Jones wasn't as awful as it looks because Adam Boqvist is no longer on the Blue Jackets. They waived him. He's gone. He's now going to be the next Gustav Forsling in Florida, as some people say. And they drafted Cole Sillinger with that pick, who's kind of been meh. I mean, still young. He's kind of got about. He's not been,
Jury's not out on him.
32 points in 77 games.
So, I mean, as of now, you could say Blackhawks have gotten more out of that trade than the Blue Jackets have, especially since Boqvist is gone.
Yes. All right, more on Seth Jones on the other side of the break zone.
Break zone.
Yes, break zone, and I'm happy that we have our pals in Fox Lake back with us.
Yeah.
Make Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram your number one draft pick this summer to find the perfect new car for you. This July, shop a wider selection of vehicles at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram and score new lower prices across their huge inventory during the Make This the Summer event. The summer. It's got to be the summer. For a limited time, lease the new 2024 Jeep Compass Latitude Luxe for only $189 a month, or shop over 125 vehicles price under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram help you land the perfect vehicle at the perfect price, because what Ray's price promise, the numbers you are hearing now, are the same prices you can expect to shop in-store and online. That's because Ray's price promise means no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. Since they prioritize affordability for their customers, hurry in the Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram today and shop one of Chicago's largest inventories. Then drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, because they're the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or for more information, visit raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963.
Nice. Almost. Hey, it's grilling season. If your grill is still in your yard, perhaps check your neighbor's yard a couple doors down.
I did actually. One of my patio chairs flew into the grass.
My grill, still there, holding strong. It is growing season. So go get your pork. People who are active need more protein than the average American. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Dietitians of Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on training. 1 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that people who are involved in a general fitness program or are interested in optimizing their health eat low-fat, high-quality sources of protein. That includes lean cuts of pork. Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork or juicy chops hot off the grill, it's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by the Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment. And why don't we, before we get to the next question about Seth Jones.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Jay Fresh's list here. Top 5, Makar, Hughes, Yossi, Fox, Heiskanen. Okay, makes sense. Here are some of the guys ahead of Seth Jones. Seth Jones is 53rd. So I'm going to go 52 counting down. Sean Dursey, Matt Roy, Luke Hughes, Ryan McDonough, Bowen Byram, Adam Pellick, Rasmus Anderson, Thomas Harley, Keandre Miller, Jared Spurgeon, Jake Sanderson, Jacob Chikrin, Philip Bronick, Brent Burns, Vince Dunn, Thomas Shabbat, Morgan Riley, Crystal Tang, Owen Power, John Carlson. That's down to, those are the 20 ahead of Seth Jones. Do you take issue with any of them? Ryan McDonough? Yeah.
I would take Seth Jones over Ryan McDonough.
Bowen Byram?
I would.
Big name.
Well, and that's the thing with some of these.
Bowen Byram doesn't play a lot.
That's the thing with some of these is that, you're going to have some guys who are young and on the rise up these sort of rankings. You're going to have guys that are older and falling down. I still feel though, like Seth Jones, he's still in the middle of his prime years, and I just think saying he's 53rd, I don't know. I would take him over Dursey, over Roy. I mean, I'd probably take him over Philip Hronek. I think I think in that mid 40s range feels more realistic for him. And is it something to be that upset about? No, but I don't know. Something in me is just like, anytime I see like a public something like this, a public ranking or whatnot of Seth Jones, and I'm just like, that's too low. And it just, even objectively, I feel like if you stripped away like his contract and the team he plays for and reputation, right? Like if you go by metrics, analytics, stats, he should be in that top 40 range.
Yeah, he's low on this list, but it's not egregiously low.
No.
It's maybe 10 to 12 spots lower than he should be. And it's funny, our chat is talking about, I saw Caleb sign. I'm like,
I know.
Caleb Jones signed like 2 weeks ago. What are we talking about?
Different Caleb.
Do we have to cancel the rest of the show?
So no, we can keep going here. Okay. I was in the Bears.
Are we getting kicked out? So Bragg's going to.
Wait, what?
Caleb Williams signed his deal.
Everything's all good.
Oh,
both guys.
There was a
I
little
thought you were talking about Caleb Jones.
That's what I saw too.
Yeah, I'm like,
people were saying in chat Caleb signed, and I was like, oh,
Caleb Jones.
Caleb Jones.
If our brains in Chicago went to Caleb Jones, we have a Blackhawks.
Well, that's why we are on this show.
We're talking about Seth Jones.
Yeah, that must be what it was.
And we're talking about Seth Jones too. Right.
Yes.
So
I think too on this with the J Fresh poll, and we'll get to the next question here in a second. When I vote on something like this, it's right now. Right, so I'm not looking at like, is Jake Sanderson going to be better than Seth Jones in 5 years? Maybe. Yeah. Is Kyandra Miller going to be better in 5 years? Maybe. But I'm talking about right now. The list is for right now.
Yeah, going into this season.
Yes, so I'm taking him above Byram and Dursey and like, sure, potentially these guys could be better, but to say that now is absurd. Anyway, should we get to the second part?
I actually liked what Holly said here, though. She said, I think Alex Vlasic not being on the list was all the more outrageous.
Yeah, well, that's
because and he listed Jay Fresh listed the top 100, and Vlasic wasn't on it, and I was just like, right, that's the one that just honestly should be like, that's even more
not
egregious.
A scientific poll. And I like Jay Fresh overall, but sometimes I'm just like, he's trolling, he's being silly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, these aren't him though.
No, I know. This is
his viewing public.
John Q public.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming he didn't put every NHL defenseman in the league in this poll. He probably chose what he thinks is the best 150.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting in at least 300, I think, because he posted like his like risers and fallers, and he had ones that were like 198 up to 120 or something like that. Like, so he's got a lot.
Well, I think Vlasic will be there next year.
I think he will be.
Or we have big problems.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the second part of this question here.
Alrighty, this comes from Casper. I've been thinking about this one for a while. As much as I think Seth Jones is actually a pretty good defenseman for all the crap he gets, I feel like it is inevitable that the Hawks will have to move off his contract to fully weaponize cap space. When and how do they do this?
They don't need to do that anytime soon. They're not in any kind of salary cap trouble. All that money they spent this year, they're still got over $6 million left in cap space.
Every free agent contract they signed this summer will be done before Seth Jones is off the books.
And then you're talking about a lot of bridge deals. You're talking about second deals. Like it's not.
I'm sorry, the Bertuzzi one is done the same time, same season.
Yeah, so like I don't think it's going to be the hindrance that a lot of people are worried about.
No, it's not. Never mind.
Yeah, he's got 6 more years?
6 more years.
Yep. So yeah, all the deals that were signed this summer will be done before that, and none of those guys are guys you're really going to be looking to bring back anyway. Maybe Bertuzzi if he's really good.
If he's really good, yeah. Maybe Tavo if he's really good.
Sure, but those won't be like
at that point.
They're not going to be $10 million contracts.
They're
going to be at the tail end of their careers.
Mid-30s.
I don't see Seth Jones' contract preventing you from keeping this young core together on their next deals. And hopefully you get some more deals like Alex Vlasic where you lock them up longer term at a friendly deal to where by it's time for that third contract where they get the big money, Jones' contract is either only a year or two left and the cap is moving up. The cap's going up. As long as he keeps playing at a high level. Now, if you're going to pay him that kind of money in 3 years and he's your sixth defenseman because he's slowing down, then that's a problem. But if he's still your top pair defenseman, you're getting value out of that.
Right.
Because as the cap goes up, it's not going to seem like this albatross, which it never really has been.
Right.
As long as he keeps playing well. Now, we can revisit this in 2 years and see how he's playing and how much the young guys have progressed and where he still slots in. Then maybe you are paying him too much for what he's giving you. But right now, you're getting your money's worth. I think, regardless, maybe you can argue, $1 million, $1.5 million. Okay, does that really make?
But even if it gets to that point with 2 years left on the deal, and you're like, man, we really got to pay somebody here, right? Then you can trade him and eat half the deal to give your. There's every team in NHL history, in the history of the salary cap, has found a way to make it work.
If you could trade Pierre-Luc Dubois and not have to retain a cent, you can trade the final 2 years of Seth Jones' contract.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything that they're going to need to worry about over the next 4 to 5 years. I think maybe when you do have, Bedard's contract kicked in, maybe when you have, Korchinski's contract kicked in, you might have Levshinov's contract kicked in. Like when you have those guys paid, then you're kind of figuring out, okay, where's the rest of their money being allocated to? And sure, if you the last 2 years of the deal, if you got 34-year-old Seth Jones and he's playing second pair minutes, and if he's not living up to that role, then you're like, you know what, we could use that 9.5 a lot differently. Then then you get to that point and you can buy out, you can move a guy, eat half the deal. Like, just because a player has a no movement clause doesn't mean that they are locked in and nothing can be done. If you present him an opportunity to be like, hey, look, like, things can work out.
And there was always going to be teams like the Blackhawks have been the last couple of seasons that are looking to get to the cap floor.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Seth Jones for 2 years. That will help us. We're trying to get the number, we're trying to get the best lottery odds.
Here's expansion Houston. You have lots of cap space to use.
Hey, the Arizona Coyotes, when they come back in 5 years. Here you go, Seth Jones. You are now a new Coyote.
Yeah.
There's always teams that are looking to take on salaries. Maybe you have to give them a second or second round or a first round pick. But if that pick's
prospect that you draft in the next a person who's currently 14 years old.
But if you have to give up, the 31st overall pick to get rid of Seth Jones' deal, maybe you do it. I don't know. Like, these are things that I know we are trained to dread because of the last how the last
when you live
we were in salary cap hell for so long. We're not there at that point yet, and I don't think Seth Jones' deal is going to ever be this complete disaster and hindrance and albatross that people fear.
Right.
As long as he keeps playing at a high level, there's nothing really to be that worried about.
Yeah. And the Giggity says Seth still has to waive to the deal, though. Stan Love giving no movement clauses like candy. It's very rare where guys say, no, I'm not waiving. It's very rare. Like, if a team clearly wants to move on from a guy, they want to, they know it's time.
Yeah. And sure, there are instances where guys won't do that because they're exercising their contractual right. But I think when you get to that point where it's like, no, things have gotten sour.
Yeah,
like we're seeing with like Trouba in New York. It's just like he's doing it for reasons outside of hockey. Right. Marner feels like he's kind of doing it out of spite to Toronto. Like I would hope Seth Jones doesn't get to the point where he's like, I'm not waiving it. Screw you guys. I'm staying here. Like, I hope it doesn't get to that point. I wouldn't foresee it getting to that point. But, I think there's other ways that waiving no movement clauses can be approached if it ever needs to happen.
All right, before we hit the break zone, do us a favor and smash that like button for us. Let's do a 3, 2, 1. Like spike. Spike that like button for us. We only have 56 likes. That's not right. Man. Come on.
Smash that like button like a smash burger.
There you go.
Beautiful forearm to the burger.
We'll get to the rest of your Twitter questions here in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks. But first, managing and worrying about body odor shouldn't take up a lot of your time. I used to be paranoid about it. I used to worry about it all the time, especially around this time of day. It's 86 degrees with 300% humidity. I can sense the swass coming to the surface. It's not good. Well, since I switched to Mando, those worries are gone. They've got their whole body deodorant. It is absolutely great. I love the Cloverfield one I just picked up. Smells amazing. Use the.
I love that movie, Cloverfield.
I don't think I'm maybe saying Cloverfields. I can't remember the exact name
Fields
of the
of Clover,
something like that. But use the stick on the pits, the chest, the lower back. Then you get the cream deodorant. Rub it on yourself and give your undercarriage a little how's your father. You feel fresh the whole day. It's great. Mando doesn't just cover up odor with heavy fragrances like certain other deodorants. It stops odor at the source by blocking the bacteria on your skin from eating your sweat, which is what actually causes BO. What does this mean? It means Mando is clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. That's a long time. Give yourself the precious gift of time and get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. Here's how you do it. Great deal here. New customers get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack with code CHGO at shopmando.com. That's code CHGO at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Use that code CHGO for $5 off their starter pack, which is great.
Yeah. And hey, if you're looking to place a futures wager on Seth Jones's odds to win the Norris this season, do it with Circa Sportsbook. Why? Well, because of their tight money line splits and their low hold model, of course. Circa will strive to have games at a -110 split on their menu, while other sportsbooks may use a -115 or a -120 split. Circa keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to those other books. What else makes Circa great? Well, they don't limit players based on how good they are. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who limit players who are winning too much money. Circa says, take our money if you can. They encourage bettors to download and explore all the betting apps available, compare the lines, and see that you are going to get the best from Circa. And when you talk about the best, you talk about their customer service. There are real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion, unlike those other books who use chatbots. Boo. All aspects of the app are run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So what you want to do is download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app and sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates, just like our Friday Cubs 120 games. Woo-hoo. Circa's with us for all of those. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB, G-A-M-B, to 833-234, or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
Clover Woods is the scent I was thinking of.
Cloverfield.
Tiger's brother.
That movie.
Clover Woods. Thank you. Can you scroll up a little bit there, Law? Michael says, people act like you can ignore the salary cap going up, like the Blackhawks get a special salary cap increase that nobody else does. No, he's saying you can't ignore a bad contract. I don't think anyone's ignoring it. I think the fact that Seth Jones's contract isn't the greatest has been acknowledged ad nauseum. However, it has not prevented you from doing anything yet. And if Kyle Davidson's proven anything, and there are still things he needs to prove, but if he's proven anything, it's that he's looking years ahead in terms of salary, in terms of contracts, in terms of strategically placing themselves to be competitive for years to come, both in the free agent and trade markets and at the draft. Like, it's not a guy who's going by the seat of his pants year after year after year, right, like the last guy was. So trust me, no one is more aware of Seth Jones's contract and the problems it does or doesn't create than Kyle Davidson. And I promise you he's aware of it.
And this is, I think, the point of the mentioning the salary cap is going up. It then means that instead of the Jones hit being 12% of the, taking up 12% of the cap, it's only taking up 9% or 8%, depending on how it's not taking up as much as the overall cap. And that also means it won't take that much of the over cap of other teams. All of a sudden, you're like, hey, it doesn't
9.5 won't be as much. Come on, Michael. It's simple math.
It's the percentage of how much it takes will go down as the cap goes up.
I think what people are arguing to that is that's true, but also salaries will go up. And I see what you're saying, but when you look at the highest contracts in hockey, Austin Matthews, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Artemi Panarin, Elias Pettersson, William Nylander, Erik Karlsson, a lot of these were not signed like super recently. The big ones signed this summer were Jake Gensel, who signed for $9 million. That's the 39th highest contract in hockey. And what did Stamkos sign for?
$8 million.
Yeah, so he's not even in the top 50 of contracts.
Yeah.
So like, and maybe they're not A tier free agents. You know, Stamkos at his age, and Gensel's probably a B tier star player.
I think,
but you haven't seen this massive like everyone's getting 11 million now sort of a thing.
Right. I think I think those are usually, you know, usually the players that garner that much money don't necessarily always hit the open market. So I think those are usually extensions done.
Yeah.
Like, like all the Leafs contracts were all extensions, besides Tavares. So,
all of these except Karlsson and Panarin are drafted by the team.
McDavid, McKinnon, those are all extensions.
Right.
So
even the Karlsson was an extension with San Jose.
So the guy that is going to be the first domino of like what the next salary cap situation that the Blackhawks are really going to need to worry about is going to be Bedard. And that's going to be his extension that he signs at some point next summer.
And he'll be in probably the 11 to 13 million range.
If he continues on the trajectory upwards that he's already started on, you know, if he puts up 80, 90 points as a 19-year-old, which I think is probably in a realistic outcome given, you know, year 2 of him with a better roster around, you're probably looking at double digits, 10, 11, 12 million.
If you get him for under 12, you take it and run.
Yeah, you're investing in him, you know. And we're also seeing, too, with, you know, some of these new extensions, not all of them are automatically 8 years. You know, Quentin Byfield just signed, what was it, 5 years extension?
They're trying to keep him under that RFA. So
you saw what they did with Vlasic. We were thinking 7-8 years with Vlasic. Lock him up long term.
To me, it would be smart to do Bedard the same way if you can, to keep him to where when that next contract up, there's no worry of him going to be a UFA.
Right, yeah.
So that would be the smart move to do. But
yeah, these, like we said, these are all ideas and what ifs that Kyle Davidson is also considering.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is the Jones deal is not the albatross, and it's way too early to be worrying about what it is going to be 4 or 5 years from now. I think Kyle Davidson has proven already that he's got a plan.
Yeah. And
that plan includes 8 different backup plans. Like, he's got a vision. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I did want to go, before we go to the next question, Steven said earlier, the Snoopy guy, asked when will ALLCITY make the mailbag for diehards. Well, yesterday's show was all diehard questions from the Discord channel.
Yep.
So if you are diehard,
place to be, baby.
Make sure you're hanging out in that Discord room for many reasons. But there's actually, for you guys who are hardcore Discord users, there's actually a diehard mailbag channel under Blackhawks now. So you guys can use that all week long. Don't necessarily just wait for my Sunday night prompt. If you got a question, throw it in that diehard mailbag channel on the Discord, and we'll just pick from there. I'll put a reminder in the Discord channel too. But yeah, our diehards get top priorities. So usually all of Monday is nothing but diehard questions.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it that way.
My Sunday night prompt was a good opener for My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
Bad show.
Real quick, I just want to thank everyone for my poll question. I said, you know, putting the contract aside, do you like having him on the Blackhawks blue line? 82% said yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just
smart
I think
people in the chat.
I think that our point all along has been like, stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
Like, the guy who signed it is no longer employed by the Blackhawks. Mm-hmm. The deal is almost halfway over. They're not in any sort of cap hell. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the fact that you've got a really damn good defenseman on your team.
Yeah.
Does he, again, and the other thing, too, I want to remind people is it's not like he's paid $4 million too much.
Right.
It's like $1.5 million too much. Tops. Like, that's where his value is. Mm-hmm. Especially a guy like that who hit the market. Not, you know what I mean? Not really technically, but you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys are going to get paid. They're going to get paid. And, like, I don't know. I just think for being overpaid, I'll say if he's $2 million overpaid for where the Hawks are now, who cares? Why are we still worrying about this?
Yeah. I mean, look at the additions that they were able to make this year. And I would say how significantly improved the team will be. Like, I feel comfortable saying that. And they still have almost $8 million in cap space. And they got, off the top of my head, at least $6 million coming off the books with, retained money coming off the books. I think McCabe is still on there for $2 million. Maroon and Craig Smith are coming off the books after next season. Ryan Donato's, going to be a free agent. Who knows if he's, in the future plans at all. And yeah, enough money is going to be there over the next few years that worrying about Seth Jones's percentage of the cap he's taken up, it's really not going to be necessary to worry about over the next season, 2-3 years.
Because ideally, over the next 3, 4, 5 years, the majority of your team is going to be on their entry-level contracts.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
And you've got, just for the record, 3.166 in retained space, $2 million for Jake McCabe, and $1.166 million is for Josh Bailey.
Oh yes, Josh Bailey.
So there's your retained money right now. So there you go. All right, let's do some other stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Referee 583 just throws $2 to say he needs one of the, or he or she needs the CHGO laptop decal. None in the store. I agree, there should be in the store, but I know if you become a diehard, you'll get a sticker pack.
You get a sticker pack, which definitely has the CHGO Nux.
And if you don't do that, referee, if you're on Twitter, send me a Twitter message. I'll get you out of.
Yeah, like 50 in my car, so just find me.
Yeah. If you're local, come to
Actually,
one of our
don't
events.
do that. Please don't find me.
Find Jay's car, license plate number.
If you listen to my shows enough, you'll know how to find my car.
Yes.
It's very, very simple to find if you know me.
It's the one with all the drive-through bags in the back seat.
That might be one of the clues. And there's a bunch of JP Graziano lettuce in the back seat.
Nice. Wait, do you like put the seat down?
You
Steven was asking if the mailbag, the actual mailbag in your graphic is available for purchase. He wants to buy the actual mailbag. No, that's just a graphic that Lawrence made.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful, though.
Yeah.
It is a good job.
Shout out to me.
That's
nice sack.
That mailbag is one of one.
Speaking of events where stickers might be found,
yes.
Scott Iowa 23 asks, is the show going on the road for the season? If so, where? Or where would you like to go and why? Like Salt Lake City for the first regular season game in their history could be cool.
That would be cool. We went to Pittsburgh last year for Bedard's first game. We went to the draft in Nashville, draft in Vegas. Did we do any other trips? We road tripped up to Milwaukee. We'll probably do that again for the preseason game.
I would like to do a road. I mean, Utah would be fun.
I
then was like, oh, screw it. Let's go to the All-Star game instead. But then they're not having the All-Star game because of the Four Nations face-off. So maybe we do.
No, aren't they
Milwaukee?
Aren't they still having it?
I thought they weren't doing.
No, I think they're not having an All-Star game this year.
Not this year. Okay. I think I'm maybe thinking of the Olympics.
Yeah.
They're still having the All-Star game in the Olympic years.
Right. But that's
which is weird, but
yeah.
So that's not.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll definitely do the Milwaukee road trip, but that's like
an easy drive.
That's not a overnight. There's no airfare or hotel needed for that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely let you know
if you'd like us to do that, and would like it to help us get there. Become a diehard.
Yes,
it's very helpful.
That helps us get plane
Put a little
tickets
note in there. Send the boys to Utah.
Yes.
Jimmy's asking, how about live game shows from Rockford? There's potential for there. I mean, there's games where there's nights where Rockford plays and Chicago doesn't. We'll probably get up to Rockford for probably two or three games just on our own accord.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
super fun.
There's definitely going to be
it's not a hard drive.
More of a focus on the Ice Hogs this year. We've got some changes to our coverage coming up when the season starts, and there's been some discussions with the Ice Hogs about some things and stuff. Yes. So I can assure you the Ice Hogs will definitely be there'll be more eyeballs on them this year for sure.
Yes.
Things and stuff and things. All right, let's get back into the beautiful mailbag. This one comes from @CivilizedHuman. Do you think it's easier or harder for the Hawks to go about this build at this time, given the fans' seeming education and awareness of it? Compared to the build in the 2000s that led to the Cup, fans were mostly clueless about prospects back then. The team could work in secrecy. And now you guys are covering them.
I would have to say it is harder because of the eyeballs on the product.
Yeah.
Because you think about, early to mid 2000s, unless you were a Blackhawks fan, people were not paying attention to the team.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know if it makes it easier or harder. I just think there's more pressure.
Yeah. Well, more pressure can make it harder.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
that's my point.
Yeah. I don't think it makes their daily job more difficult. I just think with more information being available on all these guys, when Patrick Kane was selected number 1 overall, there was like nothing out there on him.
It was a blurb.
Like you couldn't really find, but now you have more people paying attention, and you have just the information is so much more readily available. Especially if you're
YouTube exists.
Yeah, especially if you're playing junior or college in North America hockey, you can watch every single game these prospects play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it makes. I mean, getting a rebuild right is an extremely difficult thing to do.
It's already hard. Yeah.
Yes.
This just makes more educated fans. The fans being more educated on these guys will just make the receipts be a little longer if these guys don't hit. There'll be more public opinion out there.
I told this guy. I told you to draft this guy back in 2023.
Right. I mean, I don't think Kyle Davison sits there and unless he's got a burner account in the draft in our chat, I don't think he sits there and learns. It sits there and worries about who if he was, he would have taken Demidov number 2.
Right.
I don't think he's worried about the public opinion so much.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very difficult thing to do to begin with. But if you look at it this way, there's more information available to the fans to know about these guys. Also means there's more information to the scouts available, which maybe makes their job a little easier.
100%.
Love it. Good answer. All right, let's get into here's a question for you from @DanHines3. I'll throw out a hypothetical trade you'll probably scoff at, but here we go.
Oh, sorry.
You already scoffed. Athanasiou, Reichel, and a third for Laine. Athanasiou is really only in the deal to make the money work, so they don't have to retain any. Thoughts?
When you propose a trade, ask yourself, why would the Jets do that?
Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets. Sorry. Yeah.
Athanasiou, Reichel, and a third.
Like, why would they?
That doesn't make their team a whole lot better.
It doesn't help them at all. It doesn't. A third-round pick is a lottery ticket, a scratch-off.
It's a maybe.
Reichel's a maybe.
Athanasiou is a known commodity as a guy who's fast.
And you could find Athanasiou at every trade deadline and every free agent class. You could probably find one right now. Yeah. Sitting out there waiting to be signed.
Sure.
To be honest. So, I mean, it's just a reminder that you can't, that quantity does not equal quality.
Right.
And now, if Reichel starts this year and has, maybe 2 out of every, 2 points every 3 games or something like that, like a 60-point pace, something like that, and you get to the All-Star break, or you get to the trade deadline rather, and then he's got a little more value. But right now, those 2 guys have no value. Athanasiou barely played last year.
Right. Yeah.
Reichel was flat out bad, and a third-round pick is
Columbus. I mean, Laine doesn't even have a lot of value though either.
But at least he's a proven, like when he's on the ice, he's proven effective.
And he's on.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't. I don't think if they get to the point where they're ready to trade Laine, and I'm sure they will, he can't. I don't think he can't get traded until he's been cleared by the league, that he's done the assistance program, everything he needed to do there. But if he wants to go somewhere and Columbus wants to get him a fresh start, and it seems that that's the way it is, I don't think the return is going to be great for Columbus.
Right.
Not saying that you can get away with that trade, but like they just got a new GM, and making that trade probably gets you fired before you've even.
Yeah,
like it's not a great trade.
Something to show. Columbus is gonna have something to show for the trade. Like, hey, we traded Patrick Laine, but look what we got instead. This really promising prospect with Lucas Reichel might still be that, but in the eyes of the Blue Jackets and a lot of people in the NHL, maybe not.
Yeah,
he's not. I don't know. He's not really talked about much anymore.
If you could get a team to take on that whole salary for 2 years, then it might only take just a 3rd round pick.
I don't know,
but you'd have to, otherwise they have to maybe sweeten the deal for someone to take that whole contract. So, and right now the Hawks can't take that whole contract. It's not crazy.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like when that story came out that they were looking to move on, that there was like multiple teams interested, that there were a lot of teams like kind of chomping at the bit for the opportunity to get Laine in there on their team. So that's the other thing too, is what's the man for him. If there's teams that really, really want him, then it costs me more. Your point's right though. If they're just trying to offload him, like this guy sucks, nobody wants him, then yeah.
He still has value.
Give us a third, he'd have the contract.
But I think it's pretty clear that the Hawks aren't interested in it, because even if they tried to make a trade for him now and say, hey, we'll give you a 3rd round pick for the whole contract, they can't afford that right now. That would put him over the cap.
Yeah.
So I would have liked Patrick Laine here, but now that you've gone out and you've gotten Verbeek not Verbeek, I just read the name in the car, Bertuzzi and Tavo and Mikheyev, you got these guys.
They seem kind of sad,
there's no room for him right now.
I'm just laughing because I'm looking at some Puckpedia Puck GM trades involving Patrick Laine, and someone created a Columbus team, and they made 2 transactions. They swapped 2nd round picks with Boston, and it was Patrick Laine for Charlie McAvoy. The other trade they did was a 2025 6th round pick for Gavin Brindley.
Yeah.
Again, the public.
Very realistic.
Take my garbage so I can get something kind of good.
I also think just in general, the Hawks don't want to take on anything uncertain at this point. Anything they don't fully trust. And I don't know if, I'm sure Laine's doing the work and getting his stuff together, but I think they don't want any sort of controversy at all. And they're going to do everything they can to avoid it. And like Greg said, when you look at the moves they've made, they've kind of filled all those spots where he would be able to play.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, back to the mailbag. But first, let's get that like total up to 100. What do you say? We're at 94.
We're almost at 100.
Let's get up to 100.
Double like spike day? Wow.
Well, I just like
it's
spike.
not necessarily a like spike. It's just
I just made it 1 3 2 1 like spike.
Simple question.
I was gonna say a like encouragement.
Yeah. All right. This next question comes to us from Mark Allred, who goes by @BlackandGold277, which I think will inform you. Yeah. Here we go. Are you happy with the goaltending outlook for the upcoming season?
Yes.
Also, this Chicago team is shaping up to be Boston Midwest with all the former Bruin alumni now playing for the Hawks.
True, yeah.
Great show, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm happy with the goaltending outlook.
I'm ecstatic.
You've got Peter Mrazek coming off a really great season, and you picked up the guy that was the best backup in the league last year, who could be your 1B. You don't have an automatic loss out there every game
That's helpful.
Anymore. Yes,
you improved drastically at the number 2 goalie position, and yeah, I would say Mrazek and Brossoit, like 1A, 1B. Like if we're talking like a 50-30 split, I'm fine with that.
How many former Bruins are on the team?
Maroon, Foligno.
Oh, okay.
Smith.
Craig Smith.
I forgot
Bertuzzi.
Taylor Hall.
Jesus.
That's a lot.
Donato?
He's from Boston.
He
never
didn't
played
play for Boston. Okay.
Same thing.
So that's 5.
That means they're going to trade
He's
him
going to play there someday because you had to play where you're from.
They're going to trade him to Boston at the deadline because you got to play for your home.
Like Bedard and the Canucks and Kane and the Sabres.
That's at least 5. That's a lot. Yeah.
Too many.
Not Joey
Trade him.
Anderson.
I forgot Craig Smith played for Boston.
Yeah, Craig Smith did.
Yeah.
Not Martinez. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of them. And they, yeah. Well, that's fine. Boston had some success in recent years.
He did play for Boston, by the way.
He did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, first 2 years in Boston.
Who?
Donato played 46 games.
Yeah, I thought so.
I blocked those out of my memory. All right, so that's 6.
Yep.
That's a third of the starting third of the dressed
roster.
I mean,
and most of those guys are going to be
they're all going to play every day.
NHL.
Yeah. Interesting. Lucy's asking if Bourgeois and Mrazek can split. I think so. That might be kind of the plan.
They're goalies. They're pretty flexible. I'd imagine they can do the splits.
Nice. I mean, that is the butterfly, right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think you'll see more of a 1A, 1B type scenario this year than starter backup.
Yeah, I think it'll like I said, I think like a 50-30 or like both of them, like maybe Mrazek gets upper 40s.
Yeah, you don't have to ride Mrazek as much as you did last year if Bourgeois is playing as well as he did last season.
Yeah,
you can do every other
or
hey, it's your net till you lose. Something like that.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Luke Richardson to have that kind of outlook with goaltending.
All right, Mrazek, you start opening night. Bourgeois, you start second night, and then
roll from there.
Play the hot hand. If you got two goalies,
who's
play
better.
The hot hand. Yeah.
Mrazek started 53 games last year.
I can see that going.
That should go down.
Yeah,
that was out of necessity.
Maybe to 50, 45, somewhere around there.
We'll happy with that.
Health is a huge factor that we never know.
All right, let's do this question from Aiden, who asks, what kind of contract do you think the Hawks could afford or would be willing to pay for a future free agent in Draisaitl or Rantanen?
Well, some people think we can't afford. Some people think we can't afford any because of Seth Jones. Draisaitl, you're going to be looking at the 13 to 14 million range. I don't know if you want to do that necessarily. Rantanen isn't going to be that far behind.
He's worth it.
I mean, he is worth it. I mean, neither of them are going to be cheap.
Right now, the highest cap hit in hockey is 13.25. That's Austin Matthews. I think that Draisaitl will surpass that.
You think he's going to go more than McDavid at 12.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, because McDavid's going to make more. He'll get his new deal the next year.
Man. Yeah, I think, I would say now. Yeah, would the Blackhawks do it? I don't know, maybe. I think if you're talking $12 million for Leon Draisaitl, $12 million plus, it's a lot of money, but it's definitely a guy that would instantly be. Is he the second best player on the team? Behind Bedard, let's say by this time next year.
Yeah. Who else is better on the Hawks than Draisaitl?
Well, I'm saying, would Draisaitl be second behind Bedard this time next year if he were to be on the Hawks, or would you say Draisaitl's better than Bedard at this
point?
July of 2025.
Draisaitl.
Let's say all goes according to plan. Blackhawks sign Draisaitl to $12 million. Is he number one or number two best player on the roster?
Probably number one for a short period of time.
I would think so too. I would kind of say something maybe radical. I'd prefer Rantanen.
Because he's going to cost a little less?
I think he's going to cost a little less. I think he fills in exactly what they need.
Yeah, I would agree that if it came down to those two guys, I would probably want Rantanen. He's a little younger.
He will be 28 this season.
And he plays a different type of game. He's that big power forward type. You know, it would.
I mean, they both.
Yeah, they're both. But he's 6'4", 215, and an elite goal scorer with that size. Those guys, they don't come around very often anymore.
No. Not taking anything away from Draisaitl, but I just think the cost difference will be when you're paying a guy that much, you want to make sure. And if you don't think there's a huge difference in output, that I would just take the better deal. I'm not saying that Draisaitl is all McDavid created. Of course he's not, and of course they play a part a lot. I don't know. Personally, I prefer Rantanen.
There's some people that say Rantanen's benefited from playing with Nathan McKinnon, so you can have that argument for both guys.
Yeah, of course you can.
Sure.
Rantanen's a stud, and I love him. I think
he's just so Hossa-esque to me.
I think Rantanen realistically has a better chance of hitting the open market than Draisaitl.
I agree. Well, yeah. I mean, we just
went through the Colorado.
Yeah, their cap situation is really bad.
Well, and Edmonton, I mean, they're gonna have, if they're gonna pay both Draisaitl and McDavid, that is a ton of money. You also still have Darnell Nurse.
That could be a reason why they were so busy free agent wise. They had a very good offseason filling in holes. Maybe they feel like we have to win the cup this year, because when we're paying McDavid and Draisaitl all this money, probably going to get pretty lean here.
Well, the rumor is they're going to hire he who shall not be named to come and fix them and help all their cap issues.
Well, that will definitely
definitely work. I'm sure that will work.
Yeah, only one way to find out, Edmontonians.
Go ahead and do it, Edmonton. If you believe it'll work, it's not like there's, history of that definitely working.
Seems like a sure bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hurry up and do that.
No problems there.
Hurry up
whatsoever.
and throw your morals out the window and do that. Lord Hossa says, in the Hawks' future, I want one player earning above $10 million. That's Bedard. Otherwise, you're stuck like Toronto is in the core 4 cap hell. Well, that would be great, but what if you have 4 guys on your team that are absolutely worth more than $10 million because you've drafted and developed so well?
I mean,
that's illegal. That's illegal, according to Gary Bettman and his salary cap.
If Levchenov is going to be that number 1 elite defenseman you drafted him to be, that's going to cost you more than $10 million one day.
Right.
That's one day.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I don't want to put on a tinfoil hat here, but I would like to think that Kyle Davidson, in pitches to free agents, in pitches to, in contract negotiations with these young guys, I hope he is bringing up or will bring up the idea of let me pull up Puckpedia for the Dallas Stars. Let me pull up Puckpedia for some of the, for Boston and for Tampa and stuff. Look at what all these teams that had a lot of success for long-term years. Look at all these guys that, maybe they all talked to each other about what's more important here, money or cups and team success and long-term team success.
Yeah.
Some guys, hey, look, I get it. Some guys want to make as much money as you can in the time that you are in the NHL, and I won't fault you for it. But there are teams that have a collective and have a mentality. Nick Foligno talks a lot about it in on and off ice situations. There are a lot of teams that have the mentality of we want this group to have that success. And are you willing to, work together as a group to achieve that, both in the weight room, on the ice, and also, in your pockets? And sure, making an extra $1 million on a contract per year is pretty good, but a Stanley Cup can get you an extra $1 million in
all sorts of things.
Yep. Well, endorsements and all that.
Freebies for life.
Look at Florida and Sam Reinhart. He took an $8.6 million deal to stay there.
Yeah.
Because he knew
he could have got more.
He probably been a 10 or 11.
He probably would have been, if he hit the market, I think he would have been the highest paid free agent.
Oh, yeah.
He would have gotten the biggest.
He would have made more than
Gensel, Stamkos.
Instead, he took less than Gensel to stay with a team that's been the back-to-back Cup finals. And,
and I can see, as Giggity says, too, I could see Bedard being the kind of guy saying, hey, pay me what's fair. Let's go.
Oh.
Let's fill this roster. Let's go win. I want to win cups.
Here's some interesting news. Torrey Krug has been diagnosed with pre-arthritic issues in his ankle.
Ugh.
Hoping for non-surgical intervention. Currently will be out indefinitely. Will be reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. If surgery is required, he will miss the entire season.
Quick, trade him Seth Jones.
Damn, that's sucks.
Yeah, that's brutal.
That stinks.
That's
oof.
It's not good for.
Makes my prediction look better. The Hawks have a better roster than the Blues.
That's tough. That's tough for him. But
yeah,
Oh, that's an issue that the Blues are going to have to worry about.
Yep. Jared Tenorti, free agent.
He sure is.
Cancel that pre-order of that Torrey Krug St. Louis Blues Winter Classic jersey.
Yeah. Wait, no, Magna signed with the Panthers?
Yeah, Panthers.
If you're a former Hawk, you sign with the Panthers. That's the rule.
Yes. It used to be that way. Then it switched to Carolina. Now it's back to Florida.
There you go. All right, we're going to wrap things up. It is 3:35, so thanks for being with us. Thanks for all the likes. Got 112. We could use a few more on your way out if you haven't hit it just yet. We'll be back tomorrow at 2:30. Got a few more to wrap up question-wise, but I'm give it always 24 hours. There will be some news. By the way, I was on Tavern Style today with our buddy Sean Anderson, if you want to check that out too. We talked about college football 25, which is a good time.
And it's also in our office.
Time
it is in our office.
In the little lounge area. So
can't wait. Let's wrap up the show so we can go play. Talk to you tomorrow, Wednesday at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.